Great to be back. Hey, this is Will from Going Awesome Places, and if you're not familiar with my channel, I do a lot of camera gear reviews on top of all of my travel videos. And with this video, I was really excited to jump straight into the micro clutch. It's on Kickstarter right now. It is live and it will be available directly on peakdesign.com, but this is the micro clutch. I ended up getting a sample of this, and so I thought for those that are thinking about whether to buy this or not now with the Kickstarter or in the future, I want to do kind of my own quick first impressions of the product, especially for somebody that is really into the cuff. So I use the OM System OM1 Micro Four Thirds mirrorless camera. I've been a fan of their system for a very long time, and I've always paired it with the cuff. This has been always with me, and so I come at it from a very specific angle. I don't know if this applies to everybody. You know, I used to shoot the big, Canon 5D Mark III. So the version of the micro clutch that I have today is the I plate, and so I don't actually have the L plate to test. That'll probably come in a future video, but I think this will be interesting. What if I have a bigger camera with a grip, right? And I put an I plate on it and not the L plate. What happens there? What happens if you put it on a giant camera like the 5D Mark III? First, I'm going to do a just quick opening. It's very standard Peak Design packaging. It's fully formed and complete. I think for this Kickstarter, there weren't going to be any design changes, just another marketing vehicle to push this product out there. So let me open it up. It's got two stickers here that we're gonna lift. And opens up like that. Pretty standard anodized aluminum. See the nice lightweight plate. It's got kind of that rubber texture down here. The Hepalon material that they used, the numbered guides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It comes with a new type of plate. It's a little bit different from the standard ones that I've been using. We got different, really gotta pull them out, different length screws, depending on if you're using a plate or not. Okay, so that's the first part there. We got a bunch of accessories that I believe I need for installation. Save my fingernails, they say. A bunch of pieces here. Got a card, hey, read this. And a little piece of paper here that has the instructions. What's in the box? Installation instructions. It's all there. Okay, now that it's unboxed, we can now do the installation of the micro clutch I plate on the OM System OM1 Micro Four Thirds camera. And so we're just gonna see how easy it is for a newbie to do this, some natural pitfalls that I'm sure I'm gonna encounter installing this, so let's take a dive in. Okay, so first, obviously, you gotta take off the plate, the Peak Design base plate that I had before, and you'll notice that the one that they give is a little bit different. It's the same shape, but it's got this eyelet. This is raised up at the top, you see that? On the bottom, it's also a little bit different. There's no built-in screw, of course. All of the patterns are the same. The rubberized part isn't here anymore. There's only, this is not even rubber over here. It looks like that's a magnet actually. And there's no Peak Design branding on this. So I'm curious to see whether this works, but we're gonna start with the one that they provide. So this is my camera, the base of it. And we're probably, actually, I think we're gonna put the screw in first. So this is a longer screw. We also have a shorter screw. All right, so we're gonna take the longer one because we're going to be using a plate. Who wouldn't be using a plate if you're in the Peak Design ecosystem? So we're just gonna screw it in just a little bit. We're now gonna take this plate with the Hepalon strap here, and we're gonna slide it in. So clearly, this is the size of that. This goes in and slide. There's also this plate that we're gonna put on, but I see I screwed up already. So plate probably needs to snap on together. And I think you can do it pretty easily. Oh, just like that. Snaps right in. Magnetic, love it. And so both of them slide in together. And we're gonna slide this through. Okay, interesting how almost this stays fixed because it's now hit that notch and you gotta slide it in a bit further. So the holes actually aren't supposed to line up. This is supposed to go in right there at the very end. And I think now that this end is kind of near the end point, or it matches this edge, we can now start screwing the thing in. Now the other thing I remember seeing on the Kickstarter is that they have a built-in tool, so you don't have to carry around this hex key all the time. We are now going to pop that out. So I think, oh, I see. So if you press down here, it lifts the tool. Kind of like the mobile tripod. It has that mini tool built in. So you press that, this comes out. It's at an angle, it looks like, so you can use your other finger to lift it. So you got the tool, right? Just like that. I'm going to do that again. So you press and pull the thing out. So you got this interesting little tool. Doesn't seem to have a lot of leverage, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so again, we are going to push this to the edge. It kind of wants to pop out, I think, because of the magnet. So you do need both hands. Hold it here. You got this tool over here that popped out, and you feel like you want to do that, but actually you can put this down. It is actually the exact height so it doesn't touch. And you just rotate. It's giving you some pretty decent leverage. I like that it's fully aligned at this point. I don't have to worry about whether this is straight or not. You rotate, it's nice and tight. I think that's it. That's the first part. The plate is on. I probably need an L plate, but I think an I plate should be fine, actually, because less material, lighter. That'll be nice. Pop it back in. And so first step is now done. The I plate is on the camera. Now for the next part. So we got all the different other tools that are here. They give what's called a split ring, a cover for it, and a tool for it. Now, what's unique about, or not so unique about the Olympus and OM system cameras is that they've always had the split ring already included. I actually have the anchor already on. We have this metal part here that the split ring is connected to, and we have one on both sides. A lot of cameras are like this, but some others are built a little bit differently. Well, with big cameras like the 5D Mark III, you have just the ring without the split ring included because the strap just feeds through there. Now for those with the split ring, this is how it works. We first got to, well, take off the anchor. OM system cameras have this plastic cover on the split ring. Next is we got to feed the strap through the split ring. We don't actually need to use their split rings because we already have our own. So these accessories aren't actually required for the OM system cameras. But immediately looking at this, the existing setting on this I think was a 7, and it's just really tight. It's very tight. What we need to do is actually loosen this. We have to actually make it a bit bigger, so that means pulling it up, which means going to a smaller number. So we're gonna try something like a 4. Let's try 4. So we separate the opening a bit. It closes in nice and tight. We feed this up and through and then back down. And so really the only number that we can choose is probably 1. We can't go any smaller. So we gotta close this onto the thing. And so this is how it looks and feels. I can only really fit 2 comfortably. I can maybe do 3, but ooh, it's really tight. Like that pinky finger is really struggling to get in there. So really the 2. I need access to my index finger because of my shutter buttons pretty far forward on this camera, right? So it feels like that. Feels a little bit more awkward than I thought it would feel. It's really holding in the fingers there, but it feels restrictive because I'm not used to that. I'm usually used to the cuff around my wrist, but this, we got middle finger, fourth finger there, pinky out in the open, index finger out in the open. This is a bigger camera, granted, and I feel like maybe one of the issues is that I don't have the L plate. I have the I plate, which is a little bit further back, which creates kind of more tension. My index finger is really wanting to go forward to press the shutter button, right? I'm almost making it diagonal because I really need to get forward to get to the shutter button. So it's quite interesting. It's not quite what I expected. The Hepalon pad that's here is also quite a bit high. Now, I guess that kind of makes sense, although you'll see that my ring finger, or my fourth finger here, is not actually even, it's barely on the pad. So right here, it's barely on the pad because I had to really open this up, loosen it to make it work. And now I'm pushing it forward because I'm trying to get to the shutter, creating kind of this diagonal a little bit. It's just forcing it forward, really. And as a result, any sort of like padding from this, I'm not really getting on my fourth finger. It's just kind of chafing along this this piece over here. So it's not quite a good match for these larger cameras. I could see this working with the smaller, like almost like a point and shoot camera. But let me see if I can change the sizing. And I'm gonna try number 5. So I'm sliding it down, bring it to 1 to make this as big as possible. But you see how bringing down the number to give it more space, this is attached to this piece, and it makes it rise up as opposed to kind of being centered. So you have all of this fabric down here, and then you have the pad, so it's really high up. So again, okay, so I've made it slightly different, so it's on 5 instead of 4. It's a little bit better now. You can see that my fourth finger is under the pad, so that's a good thing. So I can access the shutter button, but it feels like I really got to work for it now. Like, it used to feel more natural, but there's a lot of tension here where like I almost have to go a little bit forward to get there, and then my pinky finger feels awkwardly not secure, or so I feel like it might cause some chafing because my pinky finger is going to rub against that fabric there, the way I'm gripping, and I feel like my pinky is barely getting a hold on, as opposed to before I was able to get a really nice grab there. Here it's like restricting me from doing that. What if I made it super large? This is as loose as you can make it. Okay, it's pretty loose now, but this is rising so high that fourth finger is definitely not getting any pad there. Still feels a little bit awkward. I'm not getting as much tug. Okay, I can access the shutter button. Fourth finger is barely getting anything. I'm still gonna get chafing between my pinky finger and my fourth finger. This might be the first product where I don't know if this is a good match for a Micro Four Thirds camera with a more grip type body. I think though I really want to test the L plate. If the L plate is brought a little bit more forward, this bottom part is brought up a little bit more, that it might feel a little bit more natural. Or really, I think this padding needs to be just bigger. It's a little bit too small, which just overall tells me that this is designed for smaller cameras, not the bigger cameras. This is on the accessibility list, but I don't think it works that well with it. The other thing we got to try is, okay, got to change the battery. I think that's going to be really annoying on this. I don't have access to the cover for my battery. So how do we do all this really quickly? You have to grab the tool, just kind of like hidden underneath. I gotta use my pinky to get it. Gotta loosen it just a little bit so that I can slide it out. No, not enough. No, okay, loosen a bit more. So pull out, yes, and up and away, get access to the battery, right? Put a new battery in, slide it back in. It all aligns, you push, but again, you get a bit of bounce back from the magnet, right? So you it's not a one hand operation. You gotta hold this down. Still got your tool over here, which is honestly, I feel like a little bit awkward to hold. It's a really small tool. I'm constantly losing grip, right? But okay, you got just enough. It's aligned. You put it back in, and then done, right? So takes a lot of work, actually, as I thought it would. How often are you changing batteries? Not a lot, depending on how good your batteries are. I think this padding needs to be just bigger. It's a little bit too small, which just overall tells me that this is designed for smaller cameras, not the bigger cameras. This is on the accessibility list, but I don't think it works that well with it. The other thing I want to try is, what if I just have a regular plate? A regular Peak Design plate over here, and I want to use it with this new micro clutch. Loosen it. This thing I think then can pop off. And no. No, this just doesn't work, actually. I don't think this is compatible. I don't think you can use this with the L plate. So you have to use the one that it comes with, right? It's specially designed, it's got the special eyelet, it's magnetic, and is meant to work with the micro clutch. Right, because otherwise it doesn't work. I'm an idiot for even trying. I know a lot of people are asking, like, why didn't they create Arca-Swiss compatibility on the rail itself? So why didn't they put a notch here for that? Well, one, they have to make it really thin, and a lot of these cameras are a lot thinner, so you can't make it that wide. So I want to show you, yes, it does add additional thickness. You see that? It's the plate, and then it's the other plate, right? So double thickness to get this functionality. So if they built it in there, yes, it would be less thick, but the plate would have to be much wider to make it work, right? It would have to match this. And then you talk about compatibility with like capture, which I use on my backpacks to do this. So I like that they thought of that. I'm okay that it's thicker actually for that functionality, but I think it just comes down to the micro clutch itself. You know, whether for your particular camera, is it going to feel right? Well, we learned a lot of interesting things today just from trying out this guy. I guess we gotta wrap it up, right? So a lot of thoughts come through my head. Honestly, I'm not even going to try this on the 5D Mark III, a big camera. Granted, it's not as deep of a grip, but I mean, seeing how small it was, I think you need the full grip on something like this. But if you're curious, let me know. And if you have any other questions, drop a comment down below so I know what to focus on in the next video. I think what it comes down to with this are a couple things. It just feels weird, and maybe I'm not a clutch person, but on a camera with a deep grip, it's really putting a lot of pressure on my fingers. Pinky finger is awkwardly hanging there. I'm really kind of trying to get forward to the shutter button, and it feels uncomfortable. It feels like it's just gonna hurt my fingers, gonna chafe as well. It's gonna cause it to get red. So I don't know if I really am looking for that. From a safety perspective, I'm not sure if that's the case, where it's a nice, it's not a nice hold and it doesn't feel super secure. So if I accidentally have this kind of upside down for some reason, or if, you know, I'm scared of heights, so I always want that security where, like, for some reason I accidentally let go, it's gonna stay with me. A clutch isn't really gonna do that. So maybe I'm not thinking about the right scenarios here, but I'm not convinced that this is going to increase the security substantially over just holding the camera. At certain angles, sure, it'll stay with me, but upside down, nope, camera's gone. The strap itself, or the Hepalon with the suede underneath, okay, adds a little bit of comfort. It's just not big enough, unfortunately. Maybe I got bigger hands, but because of how far I really got to stretch this thing, the strap part is actually only up here. There's nothing down here, right? It forces it upwards, so you don't get full coverage. That's a problem. Installation, sure, is a little bit of a pain, but I think it's okay, it's manageable. I gotta complain about the tool. It's pretty ingenious that it's built in. I love that about Peak Design products, but I found myself just dropping this thing all the time. And it wasn't that easy to use. I think I just need a better technique after using it a bit further. Obviously, you're not gonna be doing too much, but still, every time you change your battery, you gotta take out this stupid tool and, you know, use it to turn. I just felt like I was dropping it all the time. It didn't give me as much of the leverage that was kind of promised to me with a tool like this. And it's not a one-hand operation. I felt like I always had to use two hands. One hand to prop it up, or yeah, one finger to prop it up, another hand and finger to pull it out. Installation-wise, because of the magnets, the unintended consequence of it is that it was constantly trying to bounce around. I had to, again, use one hand to hold it down, another hand to lock it in or unlock, right? Getting to the battery is not that hard, but the combination of those things that I just mentioned earlier just makes it more work. I wanna, in the moment, I need to change a battery. I'm in the Safari, I'm on a Safari. I need a quick change. This is not quick. This is the opposite of quick. I think having capture, the plate that's compatible with capture, the Arca-Swiss plate, yes, it adds another layer of thickness. I'm okay with that. I like that it's still compatible. So that's great. But again, I haven't really, you know, added anything on top of what I already have with the existing plate that I have, which you cannot use. You have to use theirs. Ultimately, the question I had in my mind, and maybe I'm unique, let me know if this is the case for you, is that, like, could I replace this, right? I got two of these. I got the gray one and the green one. I have it for both of my cameras. The cuff, could I replace the cuff? And unfortunately, I think the answer is no. I mean, my complaint about the cuff still stands. I feel like this adjustment, while great, is metal and potentially is scratching up my camera in my bag. I'm always trying to put it out of the way, but gives me that sense of security. It doesn't get in the way of my hands. I can tighten it, and actually when a camera drops, it makes it tighter. So I got pretty much 100% security, which is what I like. My wife Chantel likes as well, and just works. I can detach it when I don't want it, versus here, I'd say to detach it and do all the things, just a lot of extra unnecessary steps for me. Those are my thoughts. Sorry, long video. I wanted to really show you just like what I was dealing with when I was experimenting with this. I haven't used this that much on the field, as you can tell, but I think it's really telling when you just first start using it and, you know, you see it up close and personal, which is really hard to tell from the Kickstarter, from the product pages. But if you're looking to learn more and just see what other people are asking, I'm sure Peak Design is going to be answering a lot of these questions themselves with a lot of their lives, the FAQ as well. The link for the Kickstarter is down below. I think we're also going to have a pop-up over here. Links are there. If you're curious about the cuff, I think this is a great product, and my opinion about it still stands. It's still great. I think it's still going to be using it. So check out the link to the cuff down below as well. So that is a wrap. Any questions you have, put in the comments. I'm going to be reading them. I'm going to be responding to them and possibly using them in a follow-up video. And I think the L plate might make a difference. I'm not sure, but I am curious, so I will test that when that comes. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.